Are you familiar with the situation when you charge your smartphone in the morning and by the evening it has only 5% charge? Or have you started to notice that your battery worked longer than it's working now? It's simple. You're not rationally using the battery of your device. It is for such situations that we have prepared this video, namely, how to properly charge your gadget, how to maximize the life in your battery, and increase the battery life during the day. Firstly, we recommend you to install the IQ Battery application, because here you can track the state of your battery smartphone. This function is the system function on iOS. You can install it simply from Google Play or download the APK file from the browser. The application is really useful. Well, now you don't need to install anything. Let's talk a little about charging your device, how to charge it correctly, and whether it's possible to leave the smartphone charging overnight. Although most new smartphones have mechanisms to automatically turn off charging once the battery reaches full capacity, leaving a smartphone while charging overnight may not be very useful. The main reason is that charging the battery at the high voltage level can lead to a decrease in the efficiency of the battery and shorten its life. In addition, the battery may heat up while charging, which may also reduce the battery life. Therefore, to maximize battery life, you should plug out the smartphone as soon as it's fully charged. Also, it's important to charge the smartphone with the original charger. It will also be useful to install applications that will fully monitor the battery charge level and automatically turn it off after reaching a certain level. We showed one of them above. And it is also very important not to discharge the battery completely. Usually, in the progress of using a smartphone, we often do not pay attention to messages about the low battery charge and work that is called to the end. However, the end in such cases is often deplorable. But why it's not a good idea to completely discharge the smartphone? The answer is easy. When smartphone battery is completely discharged, the smartphone started to consume a plenty of voltage to start a process of charging from beginning. After 20%, the battery is charged in normal mode. It's also not necessary to use the smartphone while charging, as the smartphone needs to consume more power to charge, and this can cause the battery to overheat. We would like to tell you one more, but no less important tip about the correct charging process, which will help you to save battery device. Let's imagine that in the winter you came home from the outside and your smartphone discharged or even died because of the cold. In this case, don't rush to put it on charge. After that, all electrochemical process in the battery slow down. The electrolyte loses its properties as the internal resistance and temperature of the battery increase. In this case, the main controller can just turn off the power. So that was the tips for charging your device. Now let us show you the settings in your smartphone that you can use to increase battery life. Suddenly, what you need to do is turn on the dark theme and turn on the auto brightness. Don't forget also apply dark wallpaper, but only if you have an OLED, AMOLED or Super AMOLED display, because if the screen is IPS, this action will not contribute to better battery performance. After that, you need to turn off the location if you don't need it. Let's move on. In the settings, you will need to go to Google, press 3 dots, and turn off sending diagnostics. Next, we'll leave it and look for settings where you can disable or animations in the system and disable it. This is mainly in accessibility settings. Here's an example of how it's done on Android. The battery saver mode should be turned on only if the smartphone has less than 50% left. You don't need to turn it on sooner. And don't forget to turn it off during gaming. If you have started a heavy game, immediately turn off the power saving. It can contribute to the heating of the battery temperature. Also, the activity of certain functions on your smartphone contributes to its discharge. Internet. If you don't use mobile network, turn off mobile data and use Wi-Fi. Connecting to different operator stations takes battery charge. That is during the moment. For example, a trip around the city. The charge is consumed faster than at home. Things are even worse if the user is outside the city where there is no normal coverage. In such situation, the phone will constantly try to connect to communication stations, but without success. If they are located too far or constantly move away from the construction, for instance, the user is traveling by train. In case you don't need the internet at all, turn off Wi-Fi. Also, if 5G coverage isn't available in your area, turning it off will be useful for the battery. Auto orientation, Bluetooth, always on display, hotspot, nearby share function, NFC, increased screen refresh rate. All these features affect battery life, so you need to limit their use according to your interests. Limit apps running in the background. A significant number of percentages simply disappear during the time when we don't even use the smartphone. For instance, during the night. In order for your percentages not to disappear in the air, you need to set up the so-called power timer. If there is no function like that, you just can turn on the airplane mode. And in general, the flight mode is very useful in order to saving battery. It won't be bad even if you turn on the flight mode, which will extend the battery life, but you won't be able to use mobile network for that time. The brightness of the screen, the time after which the screen turns off after touch, the haptic feedback are also functions that drains the battery of the smartphone. An important step in increasing battery life is to personally analyze the applications draining your battery and optimizing them according to your wishes and remove them altogether. So, by following these rules, you can increase the battery's working time during the day and its working life as a whole. If you like this video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel.